Well, we're at it again, my friends. Rob here. Today I want to share with you a new home monitoring or office monitoring system by ReoLink. Now, I have never accepted a product or anything to review before in the past. This is the first exception. So these were sent to me by ReoLink, and I believe that it took place because of the last video that I made where I said I'd never accepted another product to review because I was so happy with Blink. Well, they accepted that as a challenge and contacted me and sent this to me just to get my thoughts on it. I do, however, think that that's an interesting time. You know that Amazon and Blink have come out with a new camera recently, and now they've actually updated that. They had their indoor or their Blink Mini, which was like $35, a real inexpensive camera, but they introduced monthly charges on monitoring. Of course, there are some local local storage things rather than cloud storage, but that kind of bugged me. I didn't ever think they were going to bring it to their professional or upgraded line, but they have. And so now they've got new cameras as well that are coming out with this cloud-based services as well as local storage. Now that represents a different product pricing plan that Amazon's got going on, but you know, for me, I don't really like that, and one of the real big draws for Amazon was not charging for cloud storage. I don't mind a local storage option, and that's what ReoLink is going to provide in most cases, and has some cloud-based services as well. But I don't know about all that, and so I just saw that it was a great time to check out this product. So over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to use it. We're going to install it in just a minute, and I'll let you know how it's going to go when the time comes. All right, well, it's time once again for another review. It's been a couple of weeks, and we've been looking at the Argus by ReoLink. This thing right here actually hangs upside down. It's a pretty cool device. And actually, it's been so long since I filmed that first segment for you guys that the people that make Argus that sent this to me actually called me back and asked me if I was actually going to do a review or not. And I take that as a good sign. That means that I didn't rush it. It's actually been about 6 weeks since I've had it. They sent me a total of 2, like you saw before. And one of them appeared to be for indoors. It was the Lumos. Now, I don't use cameras inside my house, period, but I asked them to send me that one when they asked me which ones I wanted because I wanted to give it to somebody else that might need it. But I didn't exactly know that at the time, and so in the anecdote section of today's video, which will be at the end, I'll tell you how that's going to work out and who I gave it to and why. I guess in order to keep this kind of short for those that just want the short answer of what would you get now? Originally I got Blink because it was the cheapest, the best value with cloud storage free. I wasn't going to pay a monthly thing. But now that everybody's doing the monthly service and I'm going to just store locally, I think I'd have to change. I think I'd go with the Argus. Real simple. Pan, tilt, zoom, much better night vision, higher cost up front, no more maintenance costs because you store locally, and an excellent first party solar panel with any of their products that are made to go outdoors. Hey, I think that that's a no-brainer. Now, here's a real quick note. Although these things were sent to me, not the Blink, but the ReoLink devices were sent to me, I have not been paid for this review, and I'm telling to you just how I feel about it. We're going to get into a little bit of a deeper depth, so I hope that you've seen some of that intro chapter marks that we put up there, and let's jump right down to it. Let me tell you about what I enjoyed about the ReoLink device in the first place. It was great, simple, and easy to use. All I did was turn it on, fire up the app, sign in, create a link. It pairs via type of a two-way communication or two-way validation, secure validation to your phone, and the only way that you can access the device and see the cameras is on the phone. I like that. If you want computer access, you don't have it. Now, that keeps things safe, and it means that also if you want to share your camera, only the person that has the original device authorized on their phone through the app can actually share their camera to a family and friend. When they download the app, they have to scan your QR code from your phone. You have to invite them to actually be a part of your family to view that app. Pretty nice, and only one person can do that. Another thing that I really liked about it was the Siren. First, when I put the cameras up, including Blink, I didn't really think about using Sirens outdoors. Well, I have noticed that when I put Argus up, the Argus pan tilt, right? I put this guy up outside, and I leave it on all the time with the solar panel. It's great. So anytime someone walks around the front perimeter of my home, well, guess what? The alarm goes off. That has been excellent. Does it annoy some of my neighbors? Maybe. But what it does more than anything else, that even my neighbors that live just across the sidewalk from me have noticed, is people aren't walking their dogs as much in front of our home, which means they're not pooping, those that don't pick up their dog poop. So an immediate benefit of the Argus, which was that alarm feature, actually just keeps people away. The night vision is excellent. Okay, now the Argus is a little bit more expensive than the Blink, but it's totally worth the value specifically for the night vision function. And that night vision is zoom in, 1080p quality, excellent night vision. I really like it. Now, Blink is moving, as are all manufacturers, are moving to a type of video recording that is stored locally as well as a paid cloud storage access anywhere. Well, if you don't know, in any of those systems, or at least in most of the systems, definitely in the Argus, you can actually store your files locally in the camera on an SD card. Now, this does make the camera vulnerable to siege attacks where they take it and then all of your data is gone, unlike cloud computing where it would send it up to the cloud. But if you've got your camera up real high and you're not worried about people being able to grab it easily, then you don't need to worry about that SD card being in there. That also means that you have a direct physical backup of that SD card, and when your phone accesses through the app, the camera, you're actually dialing directly into it, no other person involved. How do you like that? That means that there's not a third party up there that has access to your data. If you've been saving in Blink cloud storage like I have, and the Blink XT2 had free unlimited cloud storage, then you'll know if you read in the terms of service that although they're going to respect your privacy, they absolutely can see what's there because your images are being sent to their data network, which is another reason I never wanted a camera in my home. Well, local storage kind of solves that. I like that. Argus offers it. Both of them, Blink, Argus, Ring, Nest, they are all going to offer a cloud program. I would decline the cloud program and I would not put a camera in my home. If I was you, there's my suggestion. False triggers. How long did it take to get this set up so I wasn't getting false triggers? Not long at all. In fact, the way I placed my Argus outdoors was in such a way as to lower the possibility of false triggers as much as possible. I think that a lot of people don't understand on all the cameras how the motion sensing works. And when it's not using infrared or some kind of heat technology, it's using visual artificial intelligence to determine what is moving or not moving through pixel mapping. Okay, that's a lot of stuff that can lead in that to false triggers if you don't set it up properly. So I set it up at least 9 feet or higher. I angled it down at about a 45-degree angle, and I had it watch about 120 degrees of what I was looking for, such that the motion went across the screen rather than forwards and backwards from the screen. You set these cameras up, all of them, in order to catch motion that goes across, not necessarily toward. Now, it says that it's got about a 30-foot cone that it's going to, spread into, about a 90-degree, 30-foot cone. I was at least at the periphery of my fence line, and then you would have to pick up heads that were popping up across the fence, and I'd say that it did a wonderful job. Now, I was able to test it directly as compared to the Blink on both sides of my home. I've got a Blink that looks this way. I've got a Blink that looks this way that I can get both accesses around the perimeter of my porch. It's a porch that makes a right angle, or a fence line that makes a right angle. You guys saw it. I put the Argus up top so it could see both of them. A disadvantage, a clear disadvantage, all right? Because it has to cover both sides of up over the fence, right? And Argus did a wonderful job. It did not always capture the one on the right side of the fence because the right side has much, much higher fencing compared to the perspective of the person that's walking there. But it captured everyone that came around towards the front. So it had about an 80% hit rate on the right side, and it had a 100% hit rate in front. In fact, it is quick to capture when it sees you. I think it's as quick, if not quicker, than Blink in motion acquisitions and correct motion acquisitions. The app, although easy to use, it's very finicky. You have to go in certain ways like the golden path. You have to go into your particular menu in order to turn off your motion detection. Sometimes you can't get out from one menu to the other. These are optimization things that could be helpful. It's not that the app is not useful. The app is very useful. It's actually got so much utility, so many extra features that it's difficult to remember where all those features are. And even after a month of using it, other than the features that I use on a daily basis, getting into these smaller things is difficult to find. So the app could be laid out more intuitively. number one. I love the dual system setup for dual screens. Now, I don't know if I've got any footage of that to show you, but when I did have the Lumos installed for testing in my home before I gave it away, I did actually enjoy the fact that I could see both screens on my phone at one time. So I could actively monitor from a live view both at once. Now that is really cool. Something that was a niggle as well, I didn't enjoy so much, was that connecting to either the Rio or the Lumos was difficult because it's streaming over Wi-Fi. So sometimes connecting to see your playbacks, your recordings, can take a moment. And every once in a while, when you wake up in the morning, the camera hasn't realized that it's the next day for your app. Or maybe your app hasn't realized that it's the next day. So you have to refresh it a couple times for it to show the next day's recordings for events that happened overnight. Another thing, as far as jumping directly into a trigger event, it is not as fast as the Blink. The Blink has become blazingly fast. There are people that say that the Blink is not fast. I have not experienced that since the new updates. I did experience that when I first got it. Like I said before, Blink is still about 5 seconds from time of activation to me being able to watch. I'd say that Argus is at least 5 to sometimes 10 seconds, but more around the 7-second mark from my testing. What else did I not like about it? The hinge, the little bracket that goes up that holds the Argus. The Argus is big and heavy. It's got this flimsy plastic bracket. It has not broken on me. I've had several big storms come through with winds gusting up 35 miles per hour here, and the weather sealing and everything's been fine. No issues with that. The bracket hasn't broken, but I don't know how long it's going to be after a year of standing in the sun. You know, the sun oxidizes plastic, off-gassing plastic becomes brittle. Next thing you know, it breaks. I would suggest if you're going to get the Argus, then just go to the Lowe's, buy a $2 stainless steel or nickel galvanized L bracket, one of the 2-inchers, so it's 2-inch and 2-inch legs, and then just screw it in that way. You'll be fine there. Okay, let's move into something else. People ask all the time about solar panels. Well, hey, they sent me a solar panel. So I got to test it firsthand. I love it. Without having to worry about the battery, without having to waste time and energy going up and changing things. I'm changing Blink batteries without a solar panel every 2 weeks when I have them on 24/7, which is I'll go through $20 of batteries in about a year, 10 months to a year, each one per one. So now that I've got two, that's about $40 for both of them. You know what I mean? If you're going to get the ReoLink and you're going to get any of these and you're going to put it outside, get the solar panel. Installation was easy and it just works. No question, it's always charged, it works great. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the differences between the two. Blink does not have an alarm feature outside that I'm aware of, like a Siren. It might, and if it does, that's great. So I will talk about the Siren here. I've enjoyed the Siren on the Argus. It's been a great Siren. I like the fact that the Argus is a pan and tilt model. Now, it won't follow motion, but you can move it once you install it, which means that it's much, much easier to change your field of view or look at a different sight picture that you'd like to see when you put it outside. Blink is just set it and forget it. It works. Either of these will work up in a tree, which is really nice. And I guess finally, to kind of wrap things up, before we move into that anecdotal part, which would I get compared to the other? Cheese and crackers. I still think that Blink is a great value because you can find them at such low prices. Because Amazon owns Blink, you can get Blink on Prime Day and things like that for like 50 bucks, 40 bucks. If you can do that, you're getting a great deal. Do you want to sacrifice the excellent night vision? That's the biggest question. Am I upset that I don't have Argus all around or the ReoLink all around? No, Blink still works great for me and I'll continue to use the Blink. In fact, I'll use these three. But I think that going forward in the future, I'd be looking at Argus just as seriously as I would look at Blink. And that's what it's going to wrap up today's review. Let's jump right into that anecdote section. Okay. So, what happened to the Lumos that I was given to review? Just a few nights ago, from today, from the date that this video goes live, 5 vehicles were broken into on my side of the street. Now, I live in a nice neighborhood. I guess you call it nice. Maybe it's a nice neighborhood because people come over here to steal our things and then go someplace else. This is also at the same time that one of my neighbors moved and a new neighbor moved in. I don't know them very well. here's the thing. They must have been watching because my previous neighbors had a camera out front. They knew it. They had a camera as well, okay? So they went to an area where they knew there was no surveillance. This is also at the same time that one of my neighbors moved and a new neighbor moved in. I don't know them very well, but I did have the opportunity to ask them, hey, our car was broken into, was yours? And the answer was yes. I said, hey, I've got an extra security camera. Let me go ahead and give that to you. But I'd like in about a month and a half or a month to do a little interview with you as an update. And he said, great. Okay, and one final bonus. If you're still here, goodness, this is getting long. Would I buy this over Nest? Would I buy this over Ring? Well, Ring is doing something a little bit different than Argus. If you're looking for a push-to-talk doorbell, that's a different kind of story. That's a different thing. So I would leave Ring out. If you want a Ring doorbell, until Amazon gets you one or something else, really, Ring has the monopoly on the doorbell. But as far as the other brands, just security cameras that don't really work as doorbells, then I wouldn't necessarily consider them as much because they're 2 times as expensive as the Argus, and they don't pan, tilt, or zoom. You know, you can buy an Arlo system. It's $200, $250 just to get into it. I don't know about all that. A little bit too much money. Remember, we want quality at value price. It's that simple. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. And Rob, if you like anything that we said, go ahead and check the Amazon links down below. Those are affiliate links that work for me. They're not sponsorship links, but if you like what I showed you, like I like what I showed you, then if you purchase from it, it helps me out. I appreciate it. I'll check you guys on the flip side. Thanks for watching.